Hello and welcome to Better Planning with Advanced S&OP. My name is Michael Levins and I'm Group Editorial Director for Peerless Media Supply Chain Group, which of course includes Logistics Management and Supply Chain Management Review magazines, and I'll be your moderator for this session. It's being brought to you by Dassault Systems. Now, as we've shared in our pages over the years, when done well, sales and operations planning aligns an organization's assets with the demand for its products. Now, that all sounds good, but all too often, S&OP efforts come up short in this quest. Now, despite diligent efforts to succeed, it's not uncommon for companies to struggle with a range of shortcomings. That's ranging from lengthy time to market processes, imbalances between manufacturing and sourcing costs, and low capacity utilization, just to name a few. Now, the remedy to these issues comes down to building a stronger bond between planning and execution. Now, that may sound like wishful thinking, but many companies already use the sales and operations planning process to do so. The trick, of course, is to make S&OP more effective and thus more beneficial to managers in the trenches. Now, today, Fernando Del Pozo Cosio, he's solutions architect for the Dalmia Quintic brand at Dassault Systems. Now, Fernando is going to explain how putting an advanced S&OP tool to work will improve collaboration across the board and help better connect supply and demand. Now, Fernando is also going to explore some of the challenges of the sales and operations planning cycle, and he's going to help attendees today discover the many benefits of having an advanced system to support your business. So without any further ado, Fernando, the podium is all yours.
Thank you very much, and hello, everyone. So some of you might have heard of Gene Tyndall. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame for the Global Institute of Logistics. He started as a career naval officer, but he then became a chief strategy officer for a major consulting firm. He is actually famous for coining the term supply chain. He said that those companies that manage to align the company's goals with the business goals are going to be the leading companies and will excel in supply chain management. Now, that has in recent years shown to be true, and a study by Oliver Wright in terms of customer results and benchmarks comparing those larger companies that have instituted a sales and operation planning process against those that haven't, what he found is that the results significantly back Gene's statement. In general, companies that have a mature S&OP see 10 to 15% larger revenue, which comes from better forecast accuracy, better productivity, and better on-time delivery. These companies also see significant cost reduction and working capital improvements in safety stocks and inventory. So that idea that Gene put out has shown to be true in the real world practices. Now, in the end, S&OP, sales and operation planning, is really just about collaboration. It's about all of the different departments of large organizations, production, marketing, finance, all of them working together on the same goal. So it combines three key aspects: process, people, and tools. I have a couple of examples of customers that have been successful at this before I get into more details, but just to give you a little taste for some of the things that Dalmia Quintic has done for some of the larger companies that use our S&OP. We have the example of Hager, who had very serious trouble in demand planning, but a system that allowed them to use better collaboration between their global and local teams helped them achieve over 90% forecast accuracy. Another example of how sales and operation planning improves bottom lines is Alaris. This is the supply chain vice president shared how by covering sales and operations, master production, and scheduling, their process was able to meet expectations and enhance material flow management. Over the past year, with the climate and the things that have been going on in the world, we have seen the need of the supply chain's robustness. This is an image that many of you might have seen. The price of oil at some point dropped below zero. Companies were having to dump it and get rid of it. So it proved that without being able to have a mature planning in place that allows you to maybe prevent how you would handle disruptions that could come in the future, it's hard to recover. And so this year specifically highlighted 4 challenges that are very common for companies trying to institute a sales and operation planning process. Challenge number 1, it's difficult to follow the process. It's difficult to know where we are in the cycle. It's difficult to align across different functional departments, have supply chain visibility. Challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 is that visibility across the different silos in the organization gets further enhanced by the fact that everybody works separate systems, or in some cases even in separate Excel sheets that are totally disconnected. Challenge number 3, it's difficult to make decisions on time. There's so much data out there, and there are so many different ways in which you could plan for your upcoming operational horizon and your tactical horizon, that planners don't really have the ability to easily decide, these are our options, here's how we're going to move forward, and they don't have visibility into the consequences of those decisions. And finally, challenge number 4 is that everybody has a conflict of interest. The finance department has a target, the sales department has a target, different departments within sales are forecasting at different levels. The customers that we sell to belong to different customers or marketing groups. And so all of this further complicates decision making and further complicates that lack of visibility. Nobody ends up working on the same set of numbers because everybody's off on their own Excel sheet or in their own system doing the best they can in a silo. Now, at the end of the day, all of these challenges mean that it's important to link supply chain to business strategy, and without a mature S&OP cycle in place and the tool that supports it, this becomes incredibly difficult. Now, if you can have a tool and if you can have a process that allows you over a longer period of time to understand what your actuals are, where you are expecting to be, and make decisions to close that gap, then you're in a better situation to better plan for the future of your company in terms of your business goals. So how does an advanced planning and systems tool help you with those? So just like I broke up the challenges, now I'm going to talk about how a better system can help you support that process. So number 1, you want a system that has a workflow support. You want a system that can tell you where you are, can tell you what's due, can tell you when the next activity is for not just you, but for your role, so that within your department, you can collaborate with your peers, and across departments, you can collaborate amongst yourselves. Quintic S&OP, an advanced planning and operation system, allows you to move from stage 1 to stage 5 in what Gardner calls the different maturity levels of an S&OP. Whether you are in 1 or 2 or 3, a better advanced planning system should help you progress on this spectrum of maturity so that you can get to a stage 5 where you're really doing value-driven forecasting and you are using the full power of the S&OP cycle. Challenge number 2, how do we address visibility? The Mia Quintix and a system in S&OP has a centralized data module. So you can always be certain that whatever you're looking at is the latest and greatest out there. If you're in the middle of working and finance produces a change in forecast, you don't need to go request it or upload the new file. It's all directly there for you to make decisions and work with the information in its latest stage. All of the stakeholders are integrated. So like I said, whether it's finance or marketing or sales, we have an integrated business process that is supported within the S&OP tool. How do we address that it's difficult to make decisions? This is something that is a unique capability in the market from an advanced planning systems perspective. So Mia Quintic puts optimization in support of the planner. We have what we call scenario management. So we can very easily make a copy of your existing or current production plan, and we allow you to play with assumptions. Decide what would happen if I open an extra set of shifts. What if I allow for goods to be transported between two of my factories? And while we allow you to do that, we also provide real-time KPIs so that as you are making decisions and modifying your plan, you can see the impact that those decisions have on your plan real time. The combination of these three things is really what drives the ability to make decisions quickly, and more importantly, making decisions that are informed by all of the possibilities that you have in front of you. And then finally, challenge 4, everybody has a conflict of interest. Well, generally what you see in forecasting is that data is presented in a traditional sort of tree hierarchy where if you want to look at a combination of things, you can only move down the tree. So if you wanted to see family, you could go to family flavor on the left side of my slide, or from there you could go to the next level, which is a family flavor pack size. However, the latest trends in what we see nowadays with better forecasting is that this is done on what we call attribute-based forecasting. So every piece of data has a set of attributes associated with them, and an advanced planning and scheduling system allows you to use any combination of those and then generate forecasts or analyze the data at that level. So you could say family and flavor or family and pack size without having to worry about how that middle level splits or divides the data. So this ability to dynamically reorganize and analyze the data allows different departments to focus on what they care about. Finance can focus on a more high level, maybe family of products forecast, while sales can go down to the individual SKU level and have a much more granular level forecasting ability, therefore sort of eliminating that conflict of interest and forcing different pieces of the organization to work on level of or granularity of data that's not conducive for their specific job. Now, I can't juggle. I'm guessing some of you in the audience can juggle. I'm guessing that the rest of you, if I asked you to juggle, you could probably learn. But if while you're juggling, I very quickly tell you that now you have to juggle with a second person, and that I'm going to double the number of things you're juggling, and then without letting you get there, I changed 3 of those bowling pins for bowling balls. And again, without giving you a chance to really learn, I changed one of those for a fish. And then just for the hell of it, I light some of these on fire. I guarantee you would struggle. I guarantee that no matter how much time I give you, you would have difficulties reacting to this ever-changing condition that I'm putting you in. Well, planning in an S&OP cycle is very much like that. There are different pieces of information that are constantly thrown at you that you have to juggle in the air. You have your customer forecast, the sales forecast, the changing in raw material prices, what the statistics are telling you. Then there's the actual sales. And then on the other hand, you have to figure out how you're actually going to produce all of these demands that you're trying to fulfill. And so this cycle between the demand and the supply side of the picture you're looking at is really a metaphor for that constant juggling of things that are consistently changing and that you have to be able to deal with and react to if you are planning for sales and operation planning. How do we do it? Well, just like you saw in that last picture where there is a divide between the demand and the supply side, Delmia Quintic Sales and Operation Planning is divided into 2 specific modules, our demand planner and our macro planner. The rest of the solutions that you're seeing here are what form the rest of our overall solution map, but today we're focusing on the S&OP side of things. So if we now dive a little bit more into the details of these solutions, Gartner has, in their latest Magic Quadrant, has positioned us as leaders. Delmia Quintic is in the Magic Quadrant for the sales and operation planning systems of differentiation. The main reason why we were positioned at that level is because the tool we provide is a better sales and operation planning system that allows customers and users to progress through the stages of maturity in S&OP. So stage 1, where you're not really planning, you're reacting. If you're at that level, you can benefit from a system like Delmia Quintix. If you're a little bit more advanced and maybe you're already integrated and planning focused, you can benefit from an increased or improved workflow. If you're collaborating and you're already profit focused, any of these stages that you're in, a system that provides the capabilities that I'm going to show you can help you get to stage 5, where you are really orchestrating rather than reacting, the opposite side of the spectrum. Now, specific capabilities within the 2 modules or the 2 sides of our sales and operation planning. Delmia Quintix Demand Planner has ease of navigation, as you can see on the panel shown on the left, that allows you to deep dive into the data. The workflow, which you see at the top, gives you an overview of the full S&OP cycle. What percentage of activities are completed today? If any activities are late, what are those activities? Now, these activities can be role and user specific, which further enhances accountability. People can't just leave things there and not get them done, because it's visible to everyone. It's visible to the people above me, and it's visible to the people below me that the cycle is held up because there is an activity that I have not completed. Now, in terms of visualizing the data, the panel on the left allows us to deep dive and slice and break the data in whatever combination we want, but the visualization capabilities of the tool really enhance the planner's work. The data can be displayed in charts so that you can get a high-level sort of helicopter view at how your forecast is behaving. And the data can also be displayed and shown in a matrix so that you can dive into the details of each of the different data types or forecasts and look at the numbers down to the cents and modify them if you need to. And finally, the KPI dashboard is a key component of a better system for S&OP, because it allows you to very quickly show and measure the forecast accuracy that you're currently working with, which also allows us to have specific triggers in terms of forecast accuracy that would flag a specific set of activities. So if you have a type of forecasting in a region that is displaying a high error, this KPI dashboard can measure that error, but the activity can also flag it and say, this requires attention. A key component that all of this drives at is managing by exception. Large companies that are embedded in working through an S&OP generally have thousands, if not more, SKUs. They're working across multiple regions. They have many different customer segments that they are trying to forecast for. And because now we can then break the data at that level, we can better focus on the ones that are problematic. We can have exception-based planning rather than trying to plan every single SKU that may not require attention. Now, on the other side, there's the supply. Demand tells us what we expect to make and how we can decide what demand we're going to fulfill. But once that demand plan is constrained and we've actually decided, hey, we're going to produce this set of products to fulfill what we expect in demand, the macro planner on the supply side allows you to find the best and most optimal way to produce those goods. Couple of capabilities. Again, KPI-driven supply chain planning. Like I said, that is a key part of any advanced planning system at the S&OP level. It allows you to measure margin, cost, fulfillment levels, so that it's common that you can't fulfill all the demand out there, but because you have a customer segmentation and some customers are more important than others, having fulfillment targets helps you decide which demand are you going to fulfill now and which you need to push out or fulfill at a later time. Scenario modeling and analysis is another key component of supply planning. I mentioned this earlier. With the ability to quickly create scenarios and modify planning assumptions, you can better prepare for what could be coming. You could better come to a pre-S&OP or executive S&OP meeting and say, we are not going to reach 100% fulfillment, but if we open a shift at the plant in Canada, we can get to 99.5. It's going to cost us $100,000 more, but we can get to 99.5. And so the decision and the process at these executive and pre-executive S&OP meetings becomes about analyzing and making informed decisions rather than trying to play creative plan actions on the spot to try to figure out what the best approach is to make a plan going forward. The workflow is part of the supply plan as well. The demand planners complete their step, but the supply planners can't start doing that until they have that constrained demand plan from the other side. So that workflow encompasses both sides of the solution, and it gives that visibility to everyone about where things are and where things are getting stuck behind. Network design. The macro planner tool of an advanced, better planning system allows you to fully model a supply chain. We believe that if I give you a plan that 90% reflects your reality, that actually translates to zero value because that plan is infeasible. You need 100% reality in your planning modules so that you can actually create plans that you know you can then execute on. Macro Planner allows you to fully and 100% model your supply chain, from transportation capabilities, from transportation lanes, detailed finite capacity at your each line and plant. All of these things can be put into it so that when you're making decisions, you know that they actually reflect your reality. A rolling horizon. So as your S&OP cycle moves forward and you have a month more of actuals to consider, that data gets put into your rolling horizon in the past and now is considered actuals, and you can start planning again 12 months in the future. By doing this, you can then utilize the power of predictive analytics and looking at what has happened in the past to better inform planning decisions going forward. And finally, cascading dependent demands. Generally, what we see is that when demand is being planned for, it's planned at some level, sometimes at the SKU level, sometimes at some aggregate product family level. But when that gets translated to the supply side, that means that there is a whole array of raw materials that need to be acquired at the right time so that you can actually make the product that you are planning on making. An advanced planning like Macro Planner has that capability of seeing, well, if you're going to make pizza, I'm going to need water, I'm going to need dough, I'm going to need tomatoes to make the sauce. And it can actually identify when each of these pieces of the product you're making need to be bought and brought into your facility so that you can deliver to your customers on time. I'm a big chess guy. I really enjoy playing. I could never dream of playing against a guy like this. This is Magnus Carlsen, arguably the best chess player in the world right now. And I thought I'd share this with you because in my mind, the people responsible for sales and operation planning sort of have to think like a chess player. Now, Magnus says that he can see 15 to 20 moves ahead in 3 or 4 different variations of the game or variations the game could take. And in a way, that's what S&OP is about. S&OP is about utilizing every piece of your supply chain in the most efficient way possible so that whenever your opponent or the environment or the world outside makes a move, you know how you can react and you know what move you're going to make next. So in a way, optimization makes you a grandmaster at chess. And an advanced planning system needs to provide optimization that supports the planner in making decisions. Now, we say that we are the best at optimization. And years ago, we decided we'd go out there and prove why that was the case. So we've been entering these academic competitions that are theoretical research-based, where there are these well-defined puzzles that people have been trying to solve. And we go at them and we bring our software, the same software that the S&OP system is built on, to break these records. What we learned in these academic contests, if you want to call them, we bring back into our core software and products. And so we take optimization from practice to theory and from theory to practice. We hold over 200 world records in optimization in logistics, manufacturing, and workforce. To summarize, we talked about optimization unleashing value because it allows you to think like a grand chess master. It allows you to prepare yourself for whatever outcomes the future could be putting in front of you, and to prepare yourself for how you're going to react against those disruptions. Delmia's advanced S&OP is made up of two pieces. It's made up of a macro planner and for supply planning, and a demand planner for demand planning. These are the two pieces that you have to juggle if you can juggle if you have an advanced S&OP system at your disposal. Linking supply chain to business strategy is what the challenges that you need to overcome are all about. If you can better figure out how your plans are going to achieve your business goals and how you can close the gap between where you are and where you need to be, you are executing a successful S&OP cycle. And at the end of the day, all of this together is what better planning with an advanced S&OP is all about. It's about having the ability to better your bottom line and your company's margins. So that is everything I had today, and I'll pass it over again to Mike.
Oh, thank you, Fernando. Just a terrific job. And I really like the way you brought in a chess master, right, into the situation or into this example, because it really is an ideal example of what an operation can become and how you can become with your planning. I just want to let everybody know we have a lot of questions that are coming in, and we do have some time here for a Q&A. So again, if we don't get to your question today, we're going to package that up. We're going to move it over to Fernando, and he will get back to you via email. So, Fernando, we've got a couple questions here for you from the floor. Question for Fernando. What systems are usually integrated into a typical S&OP environment?
That is a great question. And at the end of the day, the best practice is, or the most common thing is that the ERP system of the company is integrated with the S&OP. In some cases where there is a significant amount of labor to consider and to factor in, HR systems are also integrated. And then the operational systems like your master production scheduling or your detailed scheduling can also come into the fold. I would say those 3, 4, if you count HR, are really the ones to look for, ERP being the clear winner in that list.
Sure, sure. And if there's a module inside that ERP, where like a TMS or transportation management system, something like that, that will all be part of that integration, Fernando?
Correct, yeah. You know, nowadays, standard APIs are available for a lot of these, and at least from the Delmia Quintic side, we have a lot of experience. We are SAP certified, which is one of the most common ERPs that we encounter in manufacturing. Yeah, if any of the modules are necessary or are going to have information that is relevant for planning, then you integrate with them.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. A couple more questions here for you, Fernando. Fernando, do you offer cloud-based, or are we talking about an on-premise software in this situation?
So we offer both. We are generally big proponents of the cloud-based approach. We have our own hosted solution offering, DQHS, which is very robust and allows us to provide very high uptimes to our customers. Having said that, some customers and some data constraints around their specific puzzle require them to have on-premise solutions or deployment, which we can support and have in many cases with a lot of our customers.
Sure, sure. It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And we do have time for a couple more questions here. Question for Fernando. In terms of forecasting, what models does your solution support? Good question.
Yeah. So the demand planning solution uses all of the standard sort of best practice models that you see out there. So Holton, the mean square, all of what you normally see in all statistical type of analysis tools is part of the solution. Now, we could get into this and talk about this at length for a while, but one of the big helps in the statistical side of things is that our solution can do best fit model. So it helps you make the decision of which of these standard best practice modules you should use, because it looks at the data and it trains itself on the data, uses that training to see if we can actually correctly predict data that we already have a history for. And based on that, it says, okay, well, we have these 15 types of statistical forecasts I could use. This is the one that best fits the data you are telling me, and it automatically starts using that model, then allowing users to modify the model if they feel they have a reason to.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And so, Fernando, just a quick question for me. For a lot of our attendees out there, if they're interested to get started, what would you suggest that first couple steps be in terms of engaging to get to this level of S&OP planning?
Absolutely. So I would first invite you to visit our website, www.3ds.com/Quintic. That's going to give you the biggest content in terms of overview for what the offering is, and start asking you the questions you need to ask yourself to understand at what stage you're at and what benefits you can get from an advanced planning system like the one we offer. From that, feel free to shoot me an email, and I'm happy to provide some more context or information to get you onto the right person.
So, Fernando, just a terrific job today, sir. And we want to thank everybody for attending, and I hope everybody has a terrific day. Thanks again.